This careful planning will ensure that your attendees feel at ease, allowing them to focus on the transformative aspects of the event. I thought, how could I create a space for the introverts to recharge without having the pressure to have to connect with the random strangers? I'm going to walk you through my ultimate event planning checklist to make sure your attendees walk away transformed, connected, and inspired. And the best part, I'm giving it to you for free because it's my gift.
Sabrosura pa' ti que.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cafe Con Pam, the bilingual podcast that features Latine and people of the global majority who break barriers, change lives, and make this world a better place. Welcome to episode 384 of Cafe Con Pam. Today, we have a conversation, just you and me. This time, I want to give you a reflection of the recent Cafe Con Pam live experience. As you know, I recently hosted my Cafe Con Pam live experience, and to anyone who missed it, but is ready to step into their own make character energy, my recommendation is for you to start asking yourself one relatively simple question. Relatively simple, but kind of hard to answer. What do I want? Así de simple. Once you get to that place, you may or you may not. Then I invite you to imagine how would the bravest version of you go after it. You want to start small. You want to take just 5 minutes today and do one tiny thing, one tiny thing that moves you closer to that vision. For me, that one tiny thing is showing up today and giving you this reseña is the summary because it's something that I've actually been kind of like thinking about how to better support you with this reflection. That's for me. For you, what are the 5 minutes that you're going to take you closer to that vision of what you want? Now, for those of you interested in creating a transformative event of your own, I've got something special for you. I put together a checklist based on what made Cafe Con Pam live experience such a unique thing. In this checklist, I cover everything from creating an interactive experience and experiences actually to make the space for all personalities. I'm going to walk you through my ultimate event planning checklist to make sure your attendees walk away transformed, connected, and inspired. And the best part, I'm giving it to you for free because it's my gift. I have received lots of messages from people saying, "Oh my gosh, I saw your event and I kind of want to host my own." There you go. I'm giving you my blueprint. So stick with me to the end of the episode, and you're going to get actionable steps on everything from setting a clear vision to wrapping up an unforgettable experience. So let's get started. I'm literally giving you all the steps I do to create my events. Number one, you want to start with the transformation. What do you want your attendees to walk away with? This is the heart of any transformative event. You want to think of this as the North Star, as the lighthouse, as that which you look up to. Like, that is what guides you for your planning. Here are 3 questions I always ask myself when I start the planning process. Where are my attendees now? This is where you want to think about the struggles or desires of the people you're bringing together. Where do they want to go? Just like in the beginning, I said, ask yourself, what do you want? Where do your attendees want to go? What is the breakthrough or clarity they're looking for? What is it that they're seeking? And what is one win they can walk away with during your event? 3 simple questions. This is where you can define a small but meaningful transformation that can help during the event. I've attended so many in person events, and the promise is great. You're going to learn, you're going to connect. And at the end of the day, I walk away and I get home and I left with just more words in my brain. Yes, knowledge is cool. I'm more about how could you give them something that they can actually talk about forever. So my goal is that For you answering these questions, you are basically setting the foundation for an experience that truly resonates with the people you're looking to reach at a much more personal level. Okay. Step number two, we want to clarify now your audience. So you thought about the transformation. Now you want to think about who is the who, because without a who, you can't have a what. And so with your who, you want to get crystal clear about who your event is for. Now, this goes beyond general demographics. If you know me, if you've learned from me, I always say demographic data don't matter unless it does. In my case, for example, the demographic data that I cared about was, do they live in San Diego, in LA, maybe in Yuma, somewhere drivable. I'm not going to be targeting people in New York City because they're not going to travel to San Diego for a one. Maybe they, you know what? You never know. Maybe they could. In my case, because it was kind of like a smaller type of, it was the first event that I kind of put together at this scale. I wanted to make it very local. That's a demographic piece of information. However, what we really care about are psychographics. Psychographics are the pieces of information that let you get to know your audience intimately. For example, you can ask yourself, who are they at their core? Why is this event something they've been waiting for? They may not know it yet, but this is something they've been waiting for. What is a unique value this event offer them, and what is it that they cannot find elsewhere? In my case, my workshop, my Inner Niña workshop, is something I've not seen anywhere. Of course, this is my magic sauce. And so that is a unique value that I know I didn't promote because I was still not fully stepped into my main character to own it. And now I know that's actually the unique value because nobody wants another networking event where they can just go and listen to another forum or to another panel. What they really care about is that transformation that came from my work. In your case, what is the unique value that you're offering that cannot be found anywhere else? And remember that understanding these details will help you craft every aspect of your event with so much intention, from the content to the interactive experiences to the way you communicate with them. Number three, you want to think interactive. One of the most memorable aspects of any event is the level of interaction. I have ADHD, so I think kind of like by default, I think, how could I make this interactive? How could I make my events in a way that where people won't be sitting down talking to each other? How could we make it so it's fun, it's exciting, it's interactive? Think beyond a simple Q&A. I had a podcast recording during my event. I had a Q&A afterwards, and while people were like, that was awesome, what we really loved were the experiential activities that you offered. So here's a few ideas that I have seen work wonders. I have committed to always provide an introvert table, an introvert corner, whatever you want to call it. This came to me because my partner is the most introverted person on the planet. My brother is also introverted. And so for me as an extrovert, I can always find someone to talk to. But someone who doesn't quite receive energy from talking to other people, they receive more energy from being with themselves. I thought, how could I create a space for the introverts to recharge without having the pressure to have to connect with the random strangers? Because that's kind of like how introverts, in a way, based on my connections with introverts, think about. And so an introvert corner with sensory activities, coloring, clay, any type of crafting, that's always the most popular thing. I have hosted Craft and Mingle with my friend Jamie. We have a crafting corner because that's the point. We want to make sure that people have spaciousness to use all of their senses, not just their voice. And so think about, how could you provide a creative way, sensory rich activities for your attendees? In my case, and this is something I will forever do as well. So, my commitment is to always have an introvert corner and a main character walk. So, in my work has now evolved to support you in stepping into the most main character, authentic version of you. And so, we did a main character walk where it was kind of like a mini runway, kind of like a spotlight moment where attendees embraced their confidence and the rest of the attendees were there supporting that walk. The third thing that I did is I had a scavenger hunt. And because in this event, a lot of the people I knew, a lot of my clients, a lot of my friends came to the event, I knew who was going to be there. And so the scavenger hunt was based on real life people that were gonna be at the event. Just to give you a little context of what is a scavenger hunt, a human scavenger hunt is kinda like a bingo card that shows you basically, you have to walk around, find out who can, like, check the bingo square, and one of them is a single child. And so, I knew that one person of all the attendees that had registered, who is one of my really, really good friends, what is a single child? And so everyone was looking for the single child and what like she actually arrived a little bit later than a lot of people. And so once she arrived, then people like she got settled and then people started realizing that the single child had arrived. And that made it so fun because as other people were talking to each other, they were like, "Oh, you're missing the single child. She's over there." And so I made sure that people talk to each other without the pressure of small talk, without the pressure of like, thinking about what is the next question I'm going to ask. So that was a lot of fun and a lot of people commented on this afterwards. Like that was really cool to be able to be basing this game on real people. Also, we had a lefty. So there was one left-handed person and of course as people started finding the left-handed, then they started directing people to the left-handed. And so that kind of like broke the ice in a really really fun way because you could see the humanity of people. You could see how different and at the same time how similar you are to each other. So think about when you're putting together your event, how could you make it fun? Now, remember that interaction does not have to be high energy to be meaningful. My invitation to you is to think of ways that engage more than one sense to keep the experience personal and memorable. So, I give you so many examples of what I've done, what I did during my last event, and I hope that is inspiring. And let me know if you use any of these or if you come up with something fun. I would love that. Number four, budget and securing vendors and sponsors, I would say. So, this is where we want to talk about logistics and budgets. I like to use the term spending plan rather than a budget. The budget feels to me a little bit more restrictive. But if I think about my spending plan for my event, then that gives me a lot more expansion. These are the things that are not glamorous. These are the logistics that we dread, at least I do. Kind of, not so much anymore. But in the beginning, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. So I'm going to give you a framework for this. And having a spending plan and your vendors in place, your sponsors in place, is truly the backbone of a successful event. We want to always start with a spending plan. We want to map out essential categories. And of course, because my brain thinks in systems, I made an easy to remember acronym to help you out. Vibrant Maps. Vibrant maps. All you have to remember is vibrant maps. I'm going to give you like what each one of them means. But thinking about vibrant maps, double S at the end, basically covers all the things you need. So let's start with the V, venue. Venue, you want to secure that first. You want to think about signage and decor as well under V, under venue. So venue includes the location, the signage that you'll have at the location, any decor that you may need. I for insurance. This is if you need insurance at your event. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. B for buffer. So this is where you want to add extra funds for unexpected costs. There's always unexpected random costs, believe me. Even if you're like, my spending plan is like meticulously calculated, there's always spending cost, extra spending cost. R for refreshments. This is where you want to have your food, your snacks, your liquids, your drinks in place. You want to think about this is where you want to think about how long is my event? Are people going to need to eat? Is this going to be provided? Is it not? I always think food because my brain cannot function without food. And so I want to make sure that people are resourced with that. A, for audio visual equipment. This is where you want to think about mics, projectors. What do you need day of the event? N, for necessities. This is where you want to bring in software fees, like transactional fees, inevitable. They're inevitable. If you're going to charge for something, you're going to have to pay a merchant for charging you for it. Unless, you do it on a table, which I don't recommend because we're business owners. We do things right. AV support, any type of kind of like software that you may need. T, for transportation. Sometimes, in my case, for example, I needed to make sure we had a truck because I built up a whole stage. And so in my case, my transportation was to make sure that all the things for the event were clear. M, for marketing and promotion. This is where ads, design fees, any type of marketing comes into play. This is where you also want to think about your promotion plan, have it in place. Why do I have that under the spending plan? Because you may bring in someone to help you. I got quoted for a public relations team to support me. I ended up not going with them because I ran out of time. But that's where you would add your marketing and promotion fees. A, for appreciation. So this is where you want to bring in spending like a monetary amount for team, for volunteer support. So in my case, I did have volunteers and I like comped their ticket basically. I gave them a gift. So I treated them as if they were attendees. I just gave them tasks to support me with. So that was part of the appreciation. Thank you gifts for my guests. So each one of my guests, including my master of ceremonies, got a special gift from me. So that was part of the spending plan. P, for photography and video and content, overall content. So if you're going to plan an event, you want to make sure it's captured because that content will help you to promote future events. And so photography and videography is under P. Definitely hire a photographer. Don't think that you will take the time to take the pictures you won't. Hire someone professional. Hire someone or bring someone to do content, social media content. Absolutely key. Videography is a little bit more expensive, but this is like you want to add it to your spending plan. S, for speaker stipends. I always want to make sure everyone gets paid. Even my volunteers, they get paid not necessarily in money, but they get paid in exchange for goods or even services sometimes. And so in your spending plan, speaker stipends, please pay your speakers, even if it's a nominal fee. I didn't pay my speakers that much, but I pay them because it's important. I'm asking for their time. And so I'm making sure that their time gets rewarded. S, secure sponsors. The last S is to secure sponsors. This is to make sure you get revenue stability. This is because putting events is expensive. You have to, as through our framework, Vibrant Maps, there's a lot of expenses that come in. And many times, if you want to create a business that is more accessible, maybe your pricing may not cover all the expenses through attendee pricing. That's why sponsors come in handy. And I can do a whole other episode on how to secure sponsors, what to do with your sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. But I added the extra S to secure sponsors. And this you want to think about. How could sponsorship dollars help me reach revenue stability? And of course, with any sponsorship, it's an exchange. So, how could you provide value with your sponsors? One thing I will say is with my sponsors, I made sure that their product was built into the whole event. So, it was a seamless dance where it was all planned out, which leads me to my shout out to all of our amazing sponsors who believed in this first event. I want to say thank you, of course, to Tadin Urban Tea Company. Tadin was founded with one simple idea: to respect and to share the time honored tradition of using herbs as botanical remedies to promote overall well being. Our friends from Tadin, they provided the tea experience after our Inner Niña workshop because I embedded the experience once I knew that once we were done with our Inner Niña workshop, there was going to be some like energy that needed to be processed. And so I created an activity that involved us drinking tea. So making sure that those sponsors are connected to the activities, super key. I hope our friends from Tadin liked it. As far as our conversations that we had afterwards, I think they were pleased with this. Also, I want to give a shout out to Passion Planner. Passion Planner gave us beautiful planners. Oh my gosh, I'm using mine. I'm seeing pictures of people tagging me that they're using theirs. It's so cool. Of course, all of that was strategically placed so that people were connected to the activities. Stickers from Passion Planner. Oh, my favorite. We had stickers at the introvert table that people used, and it was also all connected. Alive Ferments, or friends from Alive Ferments, gave us probiotic salsas, and they're so good. And this is how did I connect it to the event? Well, Alive Ferments, they create probiotic fermented foods that support gut health naturally. And as we did our Inner Niña workshop, as we stepped into our main character energy, I wanted to bring in a product that was also supportive, because it's not just what we put in our mind, but also what we put in our body, our food. How are we supporting ourselves? And so Alive Ferments was amazing. Surge Coffee, shout out to Valerie, who came and supported us with coffee in the morning, because I knew, I mean, it's Cafe Con Pam. How could we not have coffee? And I reached out to a couple of coffee shops that I knew, and I didn't hear back, which is kind of sad. At least tell me no. You don't have to ghost me, but that's for another conversation. And Surge Coffee came through. Valerie was like, I would be more than delighted to bring coffee to the event, and it's delicious, and definitely go visit them if you are in San Diego. We have our friends from HLX Plus and Procter and Gamble who sent us gifts as well. These gifts were some of them were placed in the bolsita that I gave away, and lots of them were used for the giveaways for the Q&A. So the way that I brought in those products, because I didn't have enough for everyone, and so I used them as prices for people that had questions during the Q&A portion. Super cool. And then last but not least, Deets by Noemi. This is Noemi, who is the owner of Deets by Noemi. She's amazing. She basically started creating personalized items, and it kind of like started as her doing it because she wanted personalized items. And then, of course, people start asking. So she started this business, and she created the bolsitas that I gave away. We worked together on creating small bags, kind of like, I don't know, like pencil bags, and each one, like, they were different, they were personalized based on the workshop that I did. And so it's all, intentional, thought out. I gave gifts to the attendees from my own products, from my own merch, and everything was thought out and intentional. And so really think about, who are you bringing in to your event, why they need to be there, and plan everything accordingly. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the Chicano Federation, who had a whole table to invite people to vote, because it is important. Okay, once your spending plan is clear, then you can start securing your vendors. Now, your vendors are, in my case, my vendors were a photographer, sound engineer. I could say that the venue was perhaps a vendor. Food also was a vendor. And what you want to make sure is that you reach out early to lock in choices, to lock in dates, to lock in pricing, and so that you can add it to your spending plan. This is, of course, your chance to align with people and brands that reflect the values of your event. For example, I've already alluded to this, but if you're promoting a wellness event, then you want to partner with someone who is all about wellness, a wellness brand. You want to think about how could I continue to elevate my attendees experience. Okay. Number 5, you want to map the attendee journey. Now, you want to look at what is the journey that people will go through. And this is where you really want to think of each stage of the process because the experience of your attendees begins the moment they learn about your event. So, this goes from learning about the event, purchasing their ticket, arriving, and even navigating the venue. This is why you want to visit the venue beforehand so you can visualize each step. This is where you want to imagine where the signage will go, how traffic will go, how to create a seamless experience. So the moment you are there, the day of the event, you are like, this is just like how I imagined it. You want to imagine it. This careful planning will ensure that your attendees feel at ease, allowing them to focus on the transformative aspects of the event because really it's what you want. You don't want people to be like, "Ay, se le olvidó la cortina." You want to really be like, everything is amazing. I don't want to say perfect because nothing's ever perfect, but just like a great, beautiful experience. Número 6, promotion and building momentum. You've probably heard this before. It's not enough to promote once or twice. People need multiple reminders to keep your event top of mind. This is where you want to aim for 14 to 21 touch points across all social media, email, and personal invitations. I also invite you to not be afraid to ask your friends or colleagues to help you spread the word. I did that. I asked my friends who have a following, who have common people and like common audiences to like just share it on stories. And so that was really helpful. You want to always emphasize why the event is unique, especially if it's something they won't want to miss. Number 7, you want to wrap up the event and reflecting on it, which is kind of like what I'm doing. I've already done my wrap up thought process, but this is like the public wrap up because the event doesn't end when attendees leave. You need to have a wrap up stage. It's crucial for any event that you do. You want to take time to reflect on what worked. You want to take time to reflect on the feedback that you receive from your attendees. This is where you want to make sure that you send a post event survey as soon as possible. Have it ready before the event happens. That way, when you get home, you can just click send or have it automated. Just have it send without you thinking about it because you'll be tired, frankly. And this is where you want to also reflect on your overall impressions when they're fresh. You want to document the insights for future planning because that will help you to make sure that things don't or do happen again next year. Of course, this survey and a recap email helps you stay connected with your attendees, and it's a great time also to invite them for future events when they have that fresh energy of what just happened. Bueno, planning a transformative event is a journey, but one that leaves a lasting impact on both you and your attendees is amazing. I hope today's checklist has sparked some new ideas and helped simplify the process. Remember, it's about creating an experience that resonates, connects, and leaves people to step in their power. Para la próxima, nos vemos. Espero que te haya gustado este episodio con nosotros, nosotras, nosotres, juntos, juntas, juntes. I invite you to keep planning with intention and leading with your heart. Of course, to download your checklist, you can head over to cafeconpam.com/listen/384 or check out the episode notes. We're going to have the link there. Now, if you really want to listen to my actual reflection of Cafe Con Pam live experience, where I spill all the coffee beans about what went right, what went wrong, and what I won't ever do again, this is where I invite you to join our supporters club. For $5 a month, you have access to exclusive episodes like that with more insights y pues más chisme that I know you want to know. And so for that to join, it's Very simple. Head over to cafeconpam.com/club and join us. And then we can keep talking there. Bueno, Maris, thank you so, so much for being here today. Y como siempre, stay shining.
Sabrosura pa' ti que